Xavier Abu Eid is a political analyst and former communications director for the Palestine Liberation Organization. He joins us from Amman. I've just got to also say to the viewers that these are images that we're getting on our screen from Khan Yunis. At the moment, Hamas is armed wing, reportedly, is saying that it's fully committed to the ceasefire deal as long as Israel adheres to its side of the bargain, as it were, here as well. But let's get Xavier's views on all this. And what are you making of today's events as they unfold?
Thank you, Rashad. I think it's very important to understand that this ceremony could be very important for many people. Of course, there will be thousands of families in Palestine that are waiting for their relatives. But I think also it is leaving many questions. And the questions are basically dealt with in the fact that we don't know what's going to happen next. We know that President Trump was very keen to get to the point where we are now. But eventually, if the talk for a comprehensive peace is real, we need to include several elements that are not part, neither of this initiative nor from his foreign policy. So far, the U.S. has not been able to utter the term two-state solution, nor ending the Israeli occupation. And therefore, there are so many questions that are left open after this ceremony that, once again, it's going to be very important for many Palestinians, also for Israelis. But also I would like to add just one point. When the Israeli captives are back to their homes, as society for Israel, it's going to be over. But when the Palestinian prisoners are back, not all Palestinian prisoners, just a minority of those who are in Israeli jails, you have to start thinking of reconstruction and, of course, in the occupied West Bank, of ending the occupation. So therefore, there are two different processes here that cannot be compared.
Now, Xavier, one of the people missing off the list of Palestinian prisoners to be released was, of course, Marwan Barghouti's name, who's seen as a big unifier. Does that also perhaps send off some alarm bells as to whether Israel is truly committed to peace in the future, because he's seen as a unifier of all the Palestinians?
That's true, and I think Marwan Barghouti has been consistently at the top of all Palestinian surveys when it comes to public opinion, something that's really surprising for many, as far as he has not been able to rally in freedom over the past 2 decades. I think it's very important to understand that for Benjamin Netanyahu, it has been never about having a peace agreement. Many people argue that Marwan Barghouti could be a very solid Palestinian leader that could push for a more inclusive approach on the Palestinian side, a more unifying approach from the perspective of the Palestinian leadership that would, of course, provide more legitimacy to the steps that the Palestinian leadership would like to take. I don't think Netanyahu is interested in that. Netanyahu is someone who invested heavily on Palestinian division, not just between Fatah and Hamas, but also from within. And I think it's important always to remember the role that Benjamin Netanyahu himself had in the rule that Hamas had for several years in Gaza. Now, it's also important to understand that for many Palestinians, this deal was the last chance for Marwan Barghouti and other leaders to leave the prison. So many people are actually very hopeless about the prospects for the future.
Xavier, looking ahead, one of the statements that's coming out was Hamas's armed wing saying that it is committed to the ceasefire agreement as long as the timeline, even if this timeline is long, as Israel adheres to their side of the deal here. This is it, isn't it? It's that side of the deal that people are concerned about. Ultimately also, and this is the armed wing talking, they have to disarm. And that's something that actually Hamas has been quite reluctant and vague about.
Rashad, I think one of the most important points here is that you cannot separate the processes. You have a political process, you have a security process, and you should have also a legal process. Those tracks should go side by side. So you cannot expect, for example, for Hamas to announce that they are going to disarm if there are not assurances that the political track is going to keep moving ahead, that there will be a Palestinian leadership in Gaza that will take control over the situation. And I think that's something that it's not about Hamas itself, it's about any single agreement that at least I have studied in my life that deals with ceasefire or disarmament of any group. The assurances are not there. What we have is a document with 20 points that are very vague so far, that has some points that can be implemented now, some in the future, but still they miss key points, like, for example, talking about the Palestinian right to self-determination, the Palestinian right to statehood. They actually put more conditions on Palestinian statehood and refer to it as an aspiration. Therefore, I think, once again, there are so many questions that remain open, and the issue of Hamas, of course, it's one of them.
Xavier Abu Eid is a political analyst and former communications director for the Palestine Liberation Organization. Thank you very much indeed.
Don't miss out, get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.